The news breaking across the nation today is sending a wave of relief and anticipation through millions of households. The long-awaited update regarding financial relief for Social Security recipients has finally arrived, and it is one of the most significant announcements in recent months. After weeks of speculation, rumors, and mounting pressure from advocacy groups and citizens alike, confirmation has come through that final approval has been granted for stimulus payments directed specifically towards seniors and Social Security beneficiaries. The figure, an $1,800 payment, is not only substantial, but also a lifeline for many who have been grappling with rising costs of living, inflationary pressures, and the ongoing economic challenges that have left fixed-income households particularly vulnerable. What makes this development so striking is not just the dollar amount, but the timing and the urgency with which this decision was reached. For months, lawmakers debated the scope of relief, questioning whether seniors, many of whom rely solely on their monthly Social Security checks, should receive targeted support. Those checks, often ranging between $1,500 and $2,000 for average recipients, have been stretched thinner and thinner as groceries, prescription drugs, utilities, and housing costs continue to climb. Now, with this final approval in place, the reassurance that direct payments will soon be deposited brings a sense of hope that has been missing for too long. The $1,800 figure is deliberate. Lawmakers and economic advisors concluded that smaller payments would not significantly offset the burden of inflation for retirees, while a much larger payout could disrupt budgetary constraints and fiscal priorities. This middle ground, large enough to matter, but still within the realm of feasibility, has been described by analysts as a balanced lifeline. For Social Security recipients, especially those who live alone or have limited family support, this could mean the difference between making ends meet and sinking into further debt. Many advocacy organizations that had been pushing for a $2,000 relief check welcomed the $1,800 announcement as a strong victory, noting that it proves the voices of seniors are still being heard. The timeline for distribution has also been a point of major discussion. Officials have indicated that the rollout will be streamlined to ensure that recipients do not have to jump through additional bureaucratic hoops. Payments are expected to be delivered in the same manner as regular Social Security checks, whether through direct deposit or traditional mailed checks. This approach is meant to eliminate confusion, prevent delays, and reduce the risk of fraudulent schemes that have historically cropped up during major relief rollouts. In fact, government agencies are already issuing warnings to seniors to be cautious of phone calls or emails requesting personal details, as the payments will be automatic and require no special sign-up. One aspect of the announcement that has generated widespread reaction is the inclusivity of the measure. These payments will not only go to retired seniors, but also to recipients of disability benefits and survivors' benefits under the Social Security umbrella. This ensures that millions of Americans who may not be retired but still depend on Social Security as their main or only source of income will not be left out. Analysts estimate that over 65 million people stand to benefit from this $1,800 infusion. For a population that has often felt sidelined in policy debates, this comprehensive inclusion feels like overdue recognition. Economic experts are weighing in as well. While some express concerns about the potential inflationary impact of pumping billions of dollars into the economy, others argue that the limited and targeted nature of the payments makes it unlikely to drive up prices significantly. Instead, they predict that the funds will largely go toward necessities rather than luxury spending, meaning the overall effect will be stabilizing rather than disruptive. In practical terms, seniors are expected to use the relief primarily for medication, groceries, rent, and utilities. Stories are already emerging of individuals planning how to allocate this money, some choosing to pay down lingering medical debt, others considering long-delayed home repairs, and many simply relieved to know they can keep their pantries stocked through the winter months. Public reaction to the update has been swift and emotional. Social media is filled with comments from seniors and their families expressing gratitude, relief, and even disbelief that the approval finally went through. Many are sharing personal testimonies of how stretched their budgets have become, underscoring why this payment feels like more than just another government program. For some, it represents a validation of their struggles. For others, it is a symbol of renewed dignity and the assurance that they are not invisible in the broader economic conversation. Advocacy groups, which organized petitions and held rallies over the past year, are celebrating the decision as a testament to the power of collective voices. Lawmakers behind the measure are also highlighting the broader implications. They argue that supporting Social Security recipients is not only a moral obligation, but also an economic strategy, as seniors contribute significantly to the economy through consumption. By empowering them with additional financial stability, policymakers believe it creates ripple effects that benefit local businesses and communities. For example, seniors who can afford to pay for services like transportation, home maintenance, or healthcare contribute directly to job stability in those sectors. This cycle of spending is being touted as one of the understated but powerful outcomes of the relief payments. Still, questions remain about the long-term sustainability of such measures. Critics point to the national debt and rising government expenditures as a warning that one-time payments, while politically popular, cannot serve as a permanent solution. They argue for structural changes to Social Security itself, such as adjusting benefit formulas or indexing payments more aggressively to inflation. Proponents, however, counter that this immediate relief does not negate the need for long-term reform, but rather buys time for lawmakers to engage in the larger debates about the future of retirement security in America. Beyond the immediate relief, this announcement also reshapes the political landscape. Senior citizens represent one of the most active and engaged voting blocs in the country, and their concerns carry significant weight during election seasons. By approving and delivering this $1,800 stimulus, policymakers are not only addressing urgent needs, but also demonstrating responsiveness to a demographic that closely monitors government action. Commentators have already noted that this move could strengthen trust among older voters who have long demanded more tailored assistance, particularly during times of economic turbulence. From the perspective of retirees themselves, the decision represents more than just a one-time check. For many, it stands as an acknowledgement of decades of work, contributions to the Social Security system, and sacrifices made during their lifetimes. Seniors have often voiced frustration at being sidelined in broader economic relief packages, such as earlier stimulus checks that left some beneficiaries waiting longer or receiving less than expected. The $1,800 payment directly addresses these past oversights by ensuring that seniors and disability recipients are prioritized rather than overlooked. The sense of fairness embedded in this decision has become one of its most celebrated features. Organizations representing seniors, such as advocacy coalitions and nonprofits focused on aging populations, are using this moment to spotlight ongoing issues. They argue that while the $1,800 payment is a powerful step forward, it should not eclipse the broader challenges facing seniors: soaring healthcare costs, gaps in Medicare coverage, housing insecurity, and the looming questions about Social Security solvency. Many of these groups are already mobilizing to ensure that this approval becomes a stepping stone toward more permanent reforms, including cost of living adjustments that more accurately reflect real-world inflation. In everyday terms, the payments will soon transform households across the country. Seniors struggling to choose between paying for medication or covering rising heating bills will now have breathing room. Families supporting elderly parents or grandparents may find their financial load slightly lightened, as the relief money allows their loved ones to maintain more independence. In communities where poverty among seniors remains disproportionately high, particularly among women, people of color, and rural residents, the impact will be felt even more profoundly. Economists suggest that the ripple effect could be substantial, injecting billions of dollars into local economies almost instantly. Despite the celebratory mood, the government is urging caution. Officials are emphasizing that while the payments are guaranteed, seniors should not fall victim to scams or predatory practices. Past experiences during relief rollouts showed a spike in fraudulent calls, fake websites, and opportunistic schemes targeting vulnerable populations. To counter this, a public awareness campaign has already been launched to remind beneficiaries that no additional information or fees are required to receive the money. The message is simple. If you are a Social Security recipient, the $1,800 will arrive the same way your monthly benefits do, no exceptions, no shortcuts, no special applications. Meanwhile, discussions continue about whether similar relief measures might be extended in the future. Some lawmakers have floated the idea of recurring support for seniors, especially as inflation shows no sign of vanishing overnight. Others, however, insist that this one-time payment must remain an extraordinary measure, warning that repeating it could strain the federal budget and complicate negotiations over long-term fiscal policy. At the center of this debate is a fundamental question. What role should government play in ensuring not just survival, but dignity for its aging population? The $1,800 payment answers that question in part, but it also reopens conversations that will shape future policy. Public response continues to pour in. Across the country, seniors are contacting local news stations, posting online, and calling into community forums to express what this approval means to them personally. Stories range from the practical, like being able to afford long-delayed dental work, to the heartfelt, such as finally being able to buy holiday gifts for grandchildren. These testimonies highlight the human side of the decision, grounding what could otherwise be viewed as a cold financial transaction in the lived experiences of millions of Americans. The emotional weight of this relief, for many, is every bit as important as the financial value. The announcement has also prompted comparisons to earlier relief programs during the pandemic. While those payments were broader in scope and distributed to most Americans, they often fell short for those living on fixed incomes because they were not accompanied by structural changes to Social Security. The $1,800 payment differs in its laser focus, signaling a recognition that inflation affects retirees differently than it does working-age households. Without the ability to increase their income through employment, seniors are particularly vulnerable to rising costs, making targeted relief more impactful than across-the-board measures. Looking ahead, the broader implication of this approval may be its ability to set a precedent. If lawmakers can agree on tailored relief for Social Security recipients now, it may pave the way for more responsive and precise interventions in the future. Policymakers often struggle to balance limited resources with diverse needs, but this measure demonstrates that targeted support can be both practical and politically viable. Whether or not it leads to recurring aid or permanent reforms, it will remain a landmark moment in the ongoing conversation about retirement security in America. In closing, the final approval of $1,800 stimulus payments for Social Security recipients represents more than just another line item in government spending. It symbolizes recognition of the struggles seniors face, the value of their lifelong contributions, and the urgency of providing tangible relief at a time when it is needed most. For millions, it means food on the table, medicine in the cabinet, warmth in their homes, and peace of mind during uncertain times. For policymakers, it serves as both an accomplishment and a challenge, a reminder that while immediate relief is critical, the long-term stability of Social Security and the dignity of those who depend on it remain unfinished business.